Hey, friends, welcome back to the podcast. We are in the final part of our 6-part summer series talking about the success mindset. Over the last 6 weeks, we have talked about the 6 most common mindset patterns that keeps smart overachievers stuck on achieving their next goal, whether that's a goal on or off the scale, and the simple mindset switch you need to start making headway. One of my favorite things about this summer series is what we are talking about transcends weight loss. One of my biggest missions for professional women that come to work with me is not just to help you get to your next health or weight loss goal, but to help you elevate how you're experiencing your real life right now. That means your career, your family, your personal and professional goals. The reason I'm saying this is because what I've learned over the past multiple years now, both for myself and my clients, is when you do the work to achieve your next health or weight loss goal, you start to change yourself. You end up having to overcome real friction points, obstacles, mindset barriers, thoughts and beliefs. You have to let go of old habits, build your discomfort tolerance, and take bigger leaps. But as you do that work, you start to build a toolbox full of $1,000,000 skills. And as you build your toolbox of $1,000,000 skills to overcome friction points and figure out obstacles and to troubleshoot your strategy, you build a toolbox that transcends just weight loss. That is my ultimate mission for anyone that is coming into my orbit, whether it's here on the podcast, over on my email list, or on social media. I want to share with you the mindset and strategy you need to achieve your next life goal. It may not always be easy, the work that we're talking about, and sometimes listening to the podcast might feel really good. You might feel really inspired, but putting it into actual specific action can feel challenging, but that is completely normal. And that's what's bringing me to part 6 of this podcast series. The overachiever's desire for complete certainty and control is taking them out of controlling their results right now. As a quick recap, part 1, we talked about how you can double your weight loss results this season simply by getting out of all or nothing thinking. Part 2, we talked about the when then mindset and how having any goal, whether it's a health goal, body goal, or career goal, is literally asking you to disrupt your status quo, which means you have to choose the inconvenient thing more consistently. Part 3 talked about why overachievers often deprioritize themselves in small moments and what happens when you start taking care of yourself first. Part 4 talked about focus versus flow. We talked about the cost of letting your most important health decisions stay loosey-goosey and in the moment versus the freedom you experience when you create your most important decisions in advance. And last week's episode talked about the power of doing the hard thing first. When you do the hard thing that you've been avoiding, the challenging project, the big task, the tricky decision, the way you feel on the other side of that challenge will fill you with pride. And now you have that as a fuel for the rest of your day. Today's episode, which is wrapping up the summer series, is talking about how overachievers specifically love feeling completely in control and certain before they really take action, and why this mindset can create real barriers for you in you achieving your next goal. The truth is, when you flash forward to some future point in time, we don't really know what's going to happen. We cannot actually anticipate every single future event, but because that feeling of uncertainty feels so uncomfortable for the overachiever, we will inadvertently start overthinking multiple scenarios. You'll know this is you if you get into a time machine and you start flashing forward to all possible outcomes. This is where overachievers have a lot of what I call whiffy thoughts. What if? What if this goes wrong? What if that happens? What if the calendar doesn't work out? What if I'm not successful? What if it's harder than I thought? The reason that our primitive brain loves to jump into the time machine and flash forward to the future is it's simply doing its job. It's anticipating possible danger and it's trying to outthink a discomfort. Now, it's totally true that it's valuable to have constrained deliberation, a constrained amount of time that you spend researching a topic, researching an idea, and then coming to a decision that moves you towards a yes or a no, that moves you forward in taking action on something. We talked about this specific concept a few episodes ago, but most overachievers are not doing constrained deliberation. We're doing loosey-goosey, vague, overthinking, rumination, and imagination. You'll know that you're doing this when you keep thinking about a problem or possible scenario, but then it doesn't actually impact how you take action on it today, or it doesn't move you towards making a decision. The thing about overthinking, stepping into a time machine, and flashing forward to all the possible outcomes is it takes you out of being in complete control over the only moment that matters, right now. So here's the thing I want to call out in this mini episode. There are lots of things about the future that are not known. And rather than fighting the discomfort of uncertainty and the discomfort of not knowing exactly how something is going to turn out, the deeper work is to have self-trust that you will figure it out when you get there. Now, this is again not all or nothing, where we spend no time being deliberate about the decisions we make or the strategies we have, but just catch how much time you're spending overthinking about the future because you just want to feel in control and how that's taking you out of control right now. Here is how I have started to train my brain and my body to hold the discomfort of uncertainty. Because the truth is, I'm just like you. I love to overthink things. I'm an expert overthinker. I love to step into the time machine and flash to the past and flash to the future. But I've also noticed that the longer that I do that, the more I take myself out of taking real action today, moving the needle forward today towards a goal that I have. When I notice myself overthinking or worrying about a possible outcome and trying to control every single variable, I ask myself one question. What am I actually afraid of? Once I ask that question, I get more information. Rather than blindly trying to put out multiple fires, I get a lot more constrained with what it is that I'm actually trying to solve for. This part requires a little bit of vulnerability and being honest with yourself. What are you actually afraid of? Once you get your answer to what you're actually afraid of, it will be some flavor of you're afraid of failing at something, you're afraid of putting in an effort and not seeing the needle move, you're afraid of making the wrong decision, you're afraid of saying or doing the wrong thing. You're afraid that your attempts won't work. There is some flavor of failure or rejection that most overachievers are trying to avoid that keeps them in the overthinking loop. But here's the next step that helps to relax my nervous system and actually focus on taking meaningful action today, which is again the only place that I control my results. I remind myself that I can actually handle that feeling. I can handle feeling rejection. I can handle feeling embarrassed. I can handle looking foolish. I can handle that failure. And I know this because in the last multiple decades of my life, I have experienced those emotions. I have experienced failure many times. I have felt embarrassed many, many times. I have experienced rejection and I have looked foolish many, many times. And when I remind myself that I have actually experienced all of these things that I'm so afraid of, they're not so novel and so scary. They don't feel so great, but I actually have handled those experiences in the past, I can tell myself without a shadow of a doubt that we are capable of handling that feeling because we're here right now talking about it. Here's the caveat to this episode. Just telling yourself that you can handle failure, embarrassment, rejection, or looking foolish doesn't mean that it takes the sting out of that feeling. These are uncomfortable emotions that overachievers try to avoid at all costs. It's the reason that most overachievers will tap out with snacking, scrolling, or mindless procrastination. But reminding yourself that you can actually handle that feeling, you've done it before, you can do it again, starts to relax your nervous system. Rather than being in a time machine and flashing back and flashing forward, ask yourself what you could take action on right now to really move the needle. And just taking action in that moment when you're feeling nervous or afraid is usually the fastest way to create relief. In my experience, this one piece of the process starts to build your internal muscle of resilience. I hope you enjoyed part 6 of the 6-part series. I really loved doing these shorter bite-sized episodes that were more off the cuff, more unedited, so that you could really hear some of my stream of consciousness thoughts around what I have noticed personally in my life as an overachiever, some of the patterns that I very often typically go to and where I notice they really stall me, and what I notice with overachievers across multiple industries. You can be a very smart person with a lot of diplomas, but when you're not aware of some of your most common mindset barriers, you will stall on achieving your goals. And I'm talking about goals on the scale and off. One of the reasons that I talk so much about mindset concepts on this topic is because I know you're already an expert planner, but the reason that that plan will sometimes collect dust in a drawer, or you talk yourself out of taking action, or you do the more comfortable, safer choice is usually because there's a mindset, a thought or belief that you're having about yourself, your goal, and your strategy. If you are loving this series, I want to invite you to join my email list. I am dropping an epic announcement this week to my email list first, and I would love for you to know. Head over to burnstressloseWeight.com/email to get on my email list, and you will be the first to know. I have been working on something for about a year now. It has been a tumultuous process. Speaking of many attempts, many rejections, and many failures on the journey, we have finally gotten to a place where I am ready to share it with all of you, and it is a dream come true that I'm literally bursting with pride about. I hope you enjoyed this 6-part series. If you did, share this episode with a friend, leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform, and of course, join our email list so that you get more of the magic in your inbox. I hope you'll have an amazing week, and I will see you at the next one.